Hello, welcome to this video. I just released a new song. It's called Dear Depression. The song is obviously about depression, specifically depression, but encompassing mental health. Depression was never something that I thought I struggled with or would struggle with. I grew up in a stable household. I had two parents who loved me, and I was like, there's people who have it way worse, there's no reason for me to ever struggle with depression. I just kind of had this separated idea that there's people, who have depression, and then I will never fall under that category. I didn't understand that to have a healthy mindset was something you had to actively work on. I started writing this song about a year ago, and initially it was just a brain dump. I remember exactly where I was, what was happening, and basically I was just feeling frustrated. And I was upset about certain things, which is the first verse. I get so defensive was the first line I wrote, because I was just literally writing my feelings. And as I was crafting the song, as I'm sitting there, I'm producing it, making the sounds, the bass line and everything, I was like, this isn't for me. This isn't my song. I'm gonna write this, I'm gonna pitch it to other artists, which kind of in a weird way gave me the freedom to be really vulnerable and honest, because I was like, I'm not gonna attach my name to it. Other than as a writer, I'm not going to be the frontman for this song, so, it doesn't matter what I say. So I kind of took off the filter, and I just started writing really raw and vulnerable things that I was feeling that I wouldn't usually write. I wrote the verses and the pre-chorus, and the chorus is what took the longest to write. I couldn't figure out a chorus. I kept writing choruses that were anticlimactic, and workarounds of what I was trying to get to. I was kind of I don't really want to talk about depression, so let's talk about being too afraid to love, and I was making up excuses for all of these things, and what ended up being the chorus, which is Dear Depression, that was what the whole point of the song was trying to get to. So it took me a long time to realize kind of what the song was about. Wow, I'm not good at this. I'm so uncomfortable right now. I go through phases of vulnerability. There's sometimes I'll go through months on end where I can be really vulnerable and very open in my relationships and in my conversations, and then there's this wall. It's not even a wall, it's a medieval gate that closes down, and I lock up and am not able to be vulnerable. Alright, so the chorus. So actually this song, before the chorus was written, some of you might remember I went to a Recording Academy event in Palm Springs. It was a writing session workshop. Marcus Lomax, shout out Marcus, and Rodney Jerkins, who I've studied him for years and loved his work for years, actually listened to the song and gave me a little bit of feedback. And I want to be clear, they did not endorse this song or write on this song. They just happened to be there and happened to be able to give me some feedback. So Marcus Lomax, he heard the song and it didn't have a chorus at that point. No, the chorus was the bridge. When Marcus heard it, the chorus was the bridge, and he was like, bro, you need a chorus. And at this point, this is where I kept writing other things around. I didn't realize, and it's subconsciously I didn't want to admit that the song was about depression. I also write very literally, and I try to avoid writing things that are too literal, because sometimes that works against me. So when Marcus heard it, he was like, yo, you need a strong chorus. You don't have a strong chorus. I went back and worked on it and wrote lots of different choruses. And Rodney Jerkins heard it also that day, and the thing he said to me was, do you ever just play a song on your acoustic guitar to see if it's a good song? And that was kind of his way of being hey, strip it back, you need to focus on the song and stop worrying about the production and actually write a good chorus. It took me months after that session to finally get to Dear Depression. Not today, I'm not playing mindless mind games for your attention, not to mention the lies you feed my brain. That's the chorus. And when I wrote all those words, I was finally this is it. This is what this song is about. It's a declaration. It's an anthemic declaration of mental discipline, which is something I've been learning about this year. I feel like this year has been my journey of realizing I need to take responsibility for the things I can control and not worry about the things I can't control. For me, a lot of my depression can be dealt with my own self-awareness and my own discipline in my mind to choose not to allow myself to feel a certain way or allow myself to think certain thoughts. So I want to be clear that I'm not saying like, oh, just get over your depression. Like, I don't want to come across insensitive at all. But there is a big portion of people who I think struggle like me in their mental health, that it is literally just a taking responsibility issue. And I feel like there's a lot of people who don't understand the strength and power they have of their own thoughts, to take control of their own thoughts. And that's kind of what this is about. This is talking about that portion and those people who struggle with that, and my struggle with just like allowing myself, or sometimes even wanting to self-pity, or wanting to feel resentment, or wanting to feel those things because it was the only thing I could feel, or thought I could feel, or just allowed myself to feel. What I've learned over the last year or so is that, first of all, that's not healthy. Second of all, I can control most of that. And so if there's something I can take control of and I'm not, that is a lack of discipline on my part. So that's been my kind of lesson this year, and that's what's rolled out into this song is first, like, hey, I'm defensive and I'm overwhelmed and I'm stressed, and, you know, I fake a smile just because I don't want your help. I just want you to think I'm okay. And then going through, like, being honest with myself and learning, like, where all of that was unhealthy, and, like, feeding this machine inside of me that was just perpetuating this occasional depression. And then realizing that, like, that's not acceptable. I need to take control of that. That's what this song is about. And so my hope is that it brings up thoughtful conversation about mental health, about depression, about people's thoughts, about people's minds and emotions and feelings, and like that's okay. It's okay to feel things, all these ranges of different things. It's okay to feel that, it's okay to talk about that, and it's okay to work through that and like get that poison out. One of the biggest lessons I learned through going through writing this song was that just speaking it and getting it out is so helpful. Like with therapy, one of my thoughts on therapy is oftentimes the therapist has nothing to do with it other than the fact that the therapist is there and puts himself in a position to listen, and the person just speaking about their problems and getting it out and getting the poison out, they just needed somebody to listen or be put in a position to just speak that. So anyway, I don't want to ramble too much. I just wanted to give a little bit of my humble perspective on this topic and share the song, and really hope that it starts conversation, even if it's just with yourself, that like, hey, it's okay. It's okay. I can feel this. I can talk about it. I can get through it, and I have the strength to do that. And also trust other people. Trust God. For me, trusting God, that I don't have to be solely independent. I can be dependent on Him. Whatever the process is, whatever you need to do to address those things, address those thoughts, call out your weaknesses, and where you can control those weaknesses, be like, hey, not today. Not gonna happen. Not gonna let myself do that. Not gonna let myself fall into that trap. We live in a society that is constantly selling perfection and perpetuating this idea that it is achievable. Eventually that lie is going to be found out, and the truth is that it's okay to not be perfect, to feel human feelings, to be a human. I'm done rambling. Thanks for watching the video. Go listen to the song and share it with your friends.
And to feel nothing anymore, depression as the day